We are creating a platform for those who are curious, one that tells the story from the artist's perspective. Moments in time captured from the innovators who are reshaping dance, music, theater, and the visual arts. This is the Working Artist Project.
Today I have the one and only Camille Thurman in the studio. Man, I'm so excited to talk to her and delve into the complexities of being a successful artist, being a successful female artist of color. Anyway, Camille is probably one of the most loving and the most caring people that I know. Her artistry is beyond anything. Man, it's just frankly, it's just amazing how good she is. Her vocal capabilities, her playing, everything is on point, you know? So, you guys, please help me welcome Camille Thurman to the Working Artist Project.
Hey!
Camille's like super bad, superwoman, travel all over the world, doing her thing. But anyway, I want to start off just with the first question I want to ask you is about unity and power.
Okay.
You know, like, what does unity, power, and love mean to you? And how do you bring that out in your music?
Unity, power, and love. That's the only way we can survive, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have to come together and work together towards making the society better, but then also making ourselves better, uplifting each other. And power, I mean, there's a beautiful energy that, you know, comes when people put their mind to something and come together and making it become more than just a dream or more than just a thought, making it into a reality. Oh yeah, love. Oh yeah, we need a lot of love. I mean, I believe as musicians, that's our number one job, to spread that love with everybody we interact with, because there's so much going on in the world, and we need to uplift each other with that love. The music is powerful in healing, and touching people. I was just talking with one of my mentors, Antoine Roney, and he was like, you know, as musicians, we are spiritual people.
Right.
We transcend situations and everything, and our music is able to go beyond those things and touch and heal people. So regardless of whether we know your business or we speak the same language or we know you at all, that music is able to come through us and heal and touch people. So that's our job. It's life.
Yeah. So I know sometimes, like, women are put in, you know, awkward situations where they're asked to, like, dress a certain way or be a certain person that they may not be. Like, how do you deal with that kind of thing? Well,
the first thing is you always want to present yourself in a way that you know deep down in your heart you're comfortable with, and that you can, at the end of the day, go to sleep. When I first was putting this together, I felt like, okay, I'm a woman, play saxophone. I have to look like, you know, like this. I want to be girly. Like, I remember when I first started playing, my biggest concern was being girly enough. Like, am I girly enough? Because I'm a girly. I'm a girly girl, but I play the tenor. And I want to be girly, but I don't want this to take away from who I am.
Right.
And I had a hard time as a teen and a young adult figuring out that balance. Like, you don't have to dress a certain way to get attention. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, you don't have to dumb down who you are to divert attention from what you think people are going to be focusing on. I think the biggest lesson that you have to learn and developing as a person is being comfortable with yourself and knowing at the end of the day, there's nothing that anybody can say in regards to how you look, how you're dressing, how you're carrying yourself, what you're looking like, what kind of message or image you're putting off. You have to be comfortable with your own skin. I was very fortunate to have mentors pull me aside and tell me that, say, hey, you know, heels are nice, they're cool, but sweetie, your music matters more.
Right.
Okay? You don't have to, if you want to straighten your hair, that's cool. But you can wear your hair naturally too. And that's just as beautiful. Or, okay, you want to wear heels? That's cool. But, you don't have to always come out on stage in 4-inch heels. If that's what you want to do, that's great. If that's what you don't want to do, you don't have to. You can come out and be comfortable. Mm-hmm. Look at the people that have done this before you. Like I used to be in love with Ella Fitzgerald and Sarah Vaughan because they looked so beautiful. And the irony is that when I read about their, their documentaries and whatnot, or watched their documentaries and read their books, they didn't think that. They had their own issues with that. And that spoke so much to me, because sometimes when you're doing something or going on a path that's not commonly followed or is popular, you have to face being able to stand your ground, and despite whatever people are saying or putting on you to do, you have to be able to be comfortable with yourself and be able to say, look, this is who I am. This is what I want to do. And this is how I'm going to present myself. And I'm not going to pressure myself into being something I'm not. I'm not going to pressure myself into feeling like there's something missing about me, because everything that I need is right here.
Right.
And for me, when I first started out, I kind of, I was like, okay, well, maybe I need to look this way. Maybe I need to look that way. But the more that I've been doing this, I've been starting to kind of find myself as a woman and realize, there's people and there's young girls that look at you. And when you talk to people, you want them to respect you, 1, as a person, 2, for your music, 3, you can be beautiful and not have to sell yourself in the process. So, yeah.
There it is. Like in recent events, we, just a few days ago, we had the we had the Women's March.
Yes.
In protest of, you know who.
Oh yeah.
So like, what are you doing in your life to move that movement forward?
Well, personally, any and every time I get to work with students or with other musicians, I try my best to reach out. If I see some females playing, I try to make it initiative before I leave to talk to them, see what's going on with them, right, what's happening in their world, and seeing if there's any way that I could be of service or of assistance to them. Because I understand as a woman, whether it's playing music or being a scientist or whatever, it takes a community of people to uplift and push. And I was very fortunate to have that through my mentors like Tia Roper, Tia Fuller, Mimi Jones, but then also male mentors like Antoine Roney, George Coleman, Bill Saxton, Bruce Williams, Abraham Burton. And if I can talk to a young girl and give them the same encouragement and help that I received, it helps with being able to make one more,
right.
To be a positive experience on their life, and hopefully give them the hope and courage to keep going forward.
Yeah, that's interesting. The one thing that I was very curious about after seeing all the support from everybody, it seems, who are of like mind, the other day is, why does it have to, something drastic have to happen before we come together? You know what I mean? Why can't we capture that spirit on a daily basis?
That's such a great question.
I know you have the answer.
I'm still figuring out that answer myself. I think any and every opportunity that you have, whether it's on stage playing or off the stage, just amongst your community, I think it takes awareness, it takes sensitivity, and it also takes the initiative to make it a priority, to be like, hey, I'm just as much of a solution in this problem, just like the people before me and the people that are coming after me. So I have to make it an effort to be that change, be that positive solution. Don't try not to make the same regular, mistakes that we kind of take for granted every day. And when I get to travel, sometimes we'll do workshops, and I remember seeing all these girls playing horns.
Okay. Like saxophone?
They were playing saxophones, trombones, bass. And I wanted to talk to them, and I was like, hey, whatever you do, make sure you continue doing this, because this is the best thing you could do for yourself. And, the reason why I told them that was because that's what was fostered to me when I was coming up from male and female role models, because they made initiative to see, hey, look, you know, there's not that much of this going on with people that look like you, but you need to keep going because we are here and we support you, and you need to continue to make this happen so the next person can come through and make this happen, and it could be a chain effect. I think that might be the key in answering to your question. Just all of us taking that responsibility
to support one another.
To support and be aware and push. I mean, I think that's the most important thing in the world that you can do, especially for a young person. You don't know what situation they're coming from. They might not ever even know that the possibility exists until you actually take a second to tell them, hey, it does exist.
Right. With that being said, it seems like sometimes people are lacking like integrity in today's society. Like, why do you think that is?
Well, we're in a society right now where it's me. It's all about building the best social Facebook page or the best social Instagram page, or letting everybody know what I'm doing, how I'm looking, and all where I'm going. It's more emphasis on the individual and less on the community. See,
that's a good point. I listened to this guru. His name is Sad Guru, and he talks about how we are not like the idea of individuality is man-made. Yeah. And how we are all actually one energy. We are. We getting a little hippy dippy, but but you know, I feel like if we have more of a collective thought process, then we could, you know, we wouldn't have as many problems as we do today.
Yeah, I think it's taking ourselves out of the situation and just looking around us and seeing what's happening. Like, I was a geological and environmental science major, and I decided to do that because I just love nature.
So you didn't major in saxophone?
No.
You hear that, people? You don't have to major in music. You don't have to major in dance.
You don't. Some of the greatest musicians learn from the school of the streets.
I was a marketing major.
Hey,
in college, you know. So
see,
there it is.
And you can always use it. But I majored in science, and the reason why I did was because in earth science, in order to understand the world around you, you have to look at the pieces in front of you. You have to look at the pieces underneath you, above you. You have to be aware of everything that's around you and take that into account, and in piecing together what it is that you see and how the story is unfolding and what happened before and what's continuing to happen into the future. And it's the same thing with people. Like, we have to take a second to not focus on ourselves and take ourselves out of the situation and see what's happening socially, what's happening with the climate, as far as, you know, with things that are being done, or processes that are changing and happening, what's coming after us, what's happening before us, and how can we put ourselves in tune to those things and work with each other in making sure that we're creating a story that we want ourselves, our children, and our grandchildren to be living in, and not a nightmare.
Right. No, man. Yeah. Man, you got all the answers, man. I'm going to just start calling you like 3 a.m. Camille. Like, when I listen to your music, you know, like, till you play or whatever, you know, from around you, I always feel like this vibe of like honesty and perseverance. Like, how do you harness that, you know? Like, was it your mama's fault, or like, what happened?
Man, I can't answer that question. I just try to be myself. And I try my best to be as honest as possible and true to who I am. I grew up doing this in an interesting situation.
What do you mean?
Well, I was singing since I was 4. I was raised in a church. My mother, she sung, and she also, you know, directed the children's choir. And I remember starting out, the church would let me, you know, do little performances and come up and play, and
like on Easter.
Easter or whatever, and have me play whatever I was playing. And there was such a support for, you know, this little girl with this big old horn. That's not typically a guy's horn, but that's typically a guy's horn, but not a girl's horn.
Were you playing alto or tenor?
I was playing tenor, man.
Wow. Okay.
And the support from the musicians and the support from the church was just so humbling and beautiful, because it didn't matter what came out of that
Right.
They supported me. And I remember one time, one person was like, yeah, just make sure you don't end up in the smoky clubs playing, jazz. No.
Right.
And my mom, she did whatever she could to get me out and explore and experience as many options as possible. And even like with school, she made sure that I went to LaGuardia High School or La Performing Arts. I don't know what they call it right now, but Music and Art, aka LaGuardia High School, Music and Performing Arts.
Okay.
And once again, there weren't too many girls doing what we did, and not too many, women of color. But I had to learn how to be comfortable with myself and not measure up to the standards that I saw around me or that people iterated to me.
Okay.
Whether it was the stereotype of, if she's going to play saxophone, she's going to be in the smoky jazz clubs drinking whatever. Or, okay, you're playing a guy's instrument. Are you really a woman?
Oh, Lord.
Or, can you really play that? Or,
right,
that thing is not typically for you, for a person like you. Maybe you should pick something a little more delicate,
Were
smaller.
people saying that? Like,
yeah.
You should play the flute.
Yeah.
Man, that's messed up.
I mean, in fact, I was playing the flute, but I switched to the saxophone because originally in 6th grade, I wanted to play on Broadway.
Oh,
and my mother was a teacher, and she confiscated somebody's mouthpiece. And I thought it was a sax mouthpiece, but no, I thought it was a clarinet mouthpiece, but it was actually a sax mouthpiece.
Ah, okay.
And my teacher was like, if you pick up one more instrument, Thurman, I'm going to have to send you somewhere. And I was like, please, I want to play on Broadway. If I could play the flute, I could play the saxophone, right? And he was like, yeah, and you could play the clarinet. And he would let me go, and I'd give up my lunch periods and just be playing, figuring out instruments.
Wow.
And trying stuff out. This is like 12 years old. But I didn't care because this was what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And it did kind of feel weird, like some girls at the time be like, you're spending too much time in his room playing instruments. You sure you should be? And it's like, says who?
Right. Well, what did they want you to be doing?
I guess what girls typically do.
What is that?
I don't know. I mean, to me, it looked like it was just standing in the corner, socializing and looking cute. Okay. But I wanted to play. I wanted to use my hands. I wanted to work my brain. And, people like Peter Archer and so many other great teachers and mentors, they gave me that space without judging me, without saying, no, you're a woman, you have to do this. If this was something that I wanted to do, if I wanted to go play tuba, they were like, sure, go ahead. If I wanted to pick up my axe and climb a volcano and figure out rocks, it was like, sure, go ahead.
Right.
And I never felt as a kid that I had to be something that everybody else was telling me to do. I was always pushed and nurtured to, if it was something I wanted to do, to go and do it. And I think it's a long answer, but
no, come on.
Getting back to your question of like authenticity and honesty, I think that's where it comes from. Okay. It's not easy. I mean, I have some experiences where, now that I look at it, it's like, whatever. But I mean, as an adolescent teen coming through it was a little kind of rough and interesting. But those experiences, I know without a shadow of a doubt, helped to make me be honest. I know they've definitely humbled me and taught me to be open and to not do what was done to me, to others, and to always find a way to uplift and be positive.
Right.
Don't make society's views of who you are cause you to fall into like a little shell and close yourself out. Yeah. So
everyone wants to know now, did you play on Broadway or not?
I did. Last year I had the privilege and the honor of working with the Reed section Shuffle Along.
Oh yeah.
A wonderful friend of mine, he gave me the opportunity. He was like, hey, I'm leaving town. Are you going to be around? And I was like, sure. And in my heart, I'm like, oh my gosh, can I really do this? And he was like, okay, you're going to have to play clarinet, you got to play tenor. And I'm like, okay.
Right.
I play it, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I never really, this is like, I mean, I've done off Broadway, but not Broadway. And
it's like the pressure is on.
Yeah, but it was one of the best experiences of my life because it was like, I remember 12 years old just saying this.
Right.
And I didn't even know what I was saying. I just thought, well, this is just what I want to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it.
Right. That's how it works when you're 12. You're just like, I'm gonna be a jazz musician.
Right.
I'm gonna move to New York. I'm just like, what? Wait, but you're from but for everyone else who's not from here, or like in your case, you're like, I'm gonna play on Broadway. Your mom's looking at you like, what? Like,
and it happened.
Right.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing for us coming out of the Afro-American community is like there are very few examples of that. So it must be very difficult to find like an African-American woman who is playing on Broadway who you could be like, okay, I'm going to model myself after this so that I could get there. You just have to create it.
You also got to do your research too, and find out who, if anything, who did it, who played those shows, and reach out to the people that knew those people that played, or even if you don't know, find people that you can relate to develop a relationship and understand how to become that role. Like I was very fortunate. The musicians that were in that show, they were very supportive. And even though I was subbing, I was very honored by the fact that they trusted me, a younger musician who they've been doing this for what? 10, 15, 20 years. Bill Easley, he's like the legend. Right. And this is the simple fact that they took me under their wing and said, all right, here's your chance.
Get it done.
Let's see what you could do.
Yeah.
And then to call you back after you did.
Right. That's dope, man. Yeah. So how did you feel after you accomplished that goal?
I couldn't even comprehend it. Because it's like, it's one thing to say you're going to do something when you're like 10, 12 years old.
Right.
And it's another thing to do it.
Right.
And I've been very blessed and fortunate to do a lot of different things and experience a lot of great things. But that personally for me was just amazing, because how can you know from just saying one little thing that almost 20 years later is going to be your reality?
Right.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's magic. Damn. Yo, I think this is a good time for us to check out one of your original pieces.
Okay.
Is that cool?
Sure.
I mean, is there a story behind this?
Well, when I wrote the record, I was trying to find a way to put together the concepts that I learned in studying earth science and geology with life.
Okay.
And a lot of times, like when we were studying the compositions of rocks and the processes that happen and making it what you see in your hand, there's all kinds of things that happen, from changing the physical state to altering the chemical composition to physically going through some stuff, whether it's, beating against other rocks or being rained or being tossed around or buried or whatever. And if you think about it, life kind of works the same way too. We are a representation of everything and anything that we've gone through, the processes that make up who you are and who I am. And for me, I wanted this record to be this is my first record, and I want it to be a representation of everything that led up to creating who I am, and also it being a mark in time of this moment of, okay, this is everything that made me want to play and be Camille Thurman. This is my first initial thumbprint of my existence in making this journey, and hopefully you'll stick around.
There it is. Camille is one bad sister.
Yeah, make me blush, man.
Come on now. So, I guess people would say that you are quite successful. It's okay. Success is a good thing.
I always see as well. One, I'm just grateful.
Right.
I'm just very thankful and grateful to be doing what I love, and for God putting me at a place and time to be able to give that gift back.
Right.
So,
speaking of success, like, how do you define success, and how do you know that you are being successful in the moment?
That's a good question. How do you know you're being successful? Well, one thing I know is sometimes it might not feel like it. Because even though you can be doing successful things, sometimes personally, you have to check with yourself and make sure that you're being successful in that way too. Because as musicians, our job is to share and you know, spread our gift with everybody and to be the best that we can be. But we also have to make sure that personally we're okay, cool, okay too.
Right. So you got to check in with yourself sometimes.
Yeah. So to me, being successful is being in a place where you're able to give back what you have, but then also be able to see how others can be affected and changed and receive it. And also, you know, making sure that you're healthy, right, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, so that you're able to continue helping others. Yeah. So I think that's successful to me.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Let's listen to a little bit more of this. Super bad. So nice, man. So y'all can't see Camille, and if y'all don't know her, y'all don't know this, but like every time you come up on, she always smiling. We like that. I feel like, you know, like that's a secret weapon, like, because that diffuses people. You know what I mean? Like you can't smile at somebody and just like keep frowning at you. Well, they can, but it's rare that happens, right? So like, how do you do that? Like, how did you harness that superpower? People need this in the world, man.
Well, I love to look at the positiveness in any and every aspect of what we do, everything. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a spiritual person. This is a gift that I've been very blessed to be given by God, and it's my job and duty to make sure that, you know, I can bless others. And I enjoy being able to see other people blessed.
Right.
And it's a privilege and an honor to be able to work with people, to communicate with them and share with them every day. So that's why I guess I smile, because I just love being able to be around people and work with people and hopefully make a positive difference in this world.
Man, your answers are so perfect, man. I gotta ask some tough questions. Hold on, I'm just joking. So I know I'm curious, like, because you have the business of music together.
Oh, that's a work in progress, man. But thank you.
Like, how do you? Where did you learn that? You know what I mean? And you know, because it seems like some people get stuck in the rat race of New York, and you're kind of like being like, no, I'm just, you know what I mean?
Well, it takes discipline. The musician today is more than just a musician. They are the accountant. They are the web designer. They are the booker. They are the promoter. They are the manager. They are the person that's writing the music, the composer, the transcriber, the arranger. They're the person putting together the tours. They're the person going out there and networking, meeting people. You have to be willing right. to be more than just that person on your instrument, because especially in this day and age, there's so many people that are competing for the same thing, and the channels for getting to, I guess, what you call quote unquote success,
right,
it's even wider now.
Right.
And guess how many people are trying to do the same thing as you? Exactly. You know. So you have to be willing to take that initiative, to have the discipline to devote yourself to those things, even if it means getting up early. Right. And starting your day at like 6, 7 in the morning. Okay, I'm going to take an hour to go to the gym, take care of my personal health, make sure I eat right so I can have some good energy for the day, because, all right, maybe today I have 2-3 gigs. Okay, well, in between those 2 and 3 gigs, I got to get back to emails, make sure I get back to people.
Right. Right.
Because, if they're inquiring, that's a privilege. That's a blessing. They could be talking to somebody else, but they're talking to you. So get back to them.
Get back to them, right? Exactly.
Or checking out on contracts. Make sure you're reading it and making sure that everything there is legit and that you're okay with it. Because once you sign it, that's it. Being able to do the research, ask people, question, ask mentors, reach out to friends who've done things before that you're thinking about doing, and double check with them. Check on people, don't just ask people for advice and keep it moving. Check and see how people are actually doing, because as musicians, we're all carrying our burdens, and even just not musicians, family. As musicians, we don't get to see our family that much.
Right, exactly.
And it's important to be able to check in with others and see how you're doing, but then also, of course, making sure you got your time to practice what you need to make yourself strong and sustain, because there's going to be periods of time when you're not going to have those 3, 4, 5 hours to shed on what you want to shed, because you're going to be on the road, or you're going to be running around doing gig to gig to gig to gig in the city and outside of the city too.
Exactly.
You're going to be traveling. You're not going to have your instrument at your hands, learning how to work on concepts while you're driving, while you're on the plane, all these things are things that you have to work out for yourself, because when you get to that stage, you got to bring your A game.
Exactly.
It's more than just, okay, lights are on. Okay, bam, I'm going to sound good. No, you got to sound good all the time.
Yeah.
You got to sound good 3 a.m. You got to sound good at 12 p.m. You got to sound good at 10 o'clock at night. Right. You always have to be on top of your stuff, because I think, I can't remember who said this to me, but I heard it somewhere. Something about when opportunity comes, you don't want to be trying to get it together. You want to already be prepared.
There it is.
And your whole life is built on making sure that you are prepared, that you are ready. Because when the opportunity comes, it's too late to be getting ready. If this is your life and this is what you want to do, it's your job and your duty to do it to the best of your ability, but also at the same time, take the preparation to make whatever's necessary possible to happen.
See, Camille just gave all that to y'all for free. That's why you got to keep tuning into this podcast. People come on here and give it to you for free. That's crazy. I'm charging. I'm gonna start charging, man. This is crazy. I can't. I'm sure. Now, we always talk about success, but we need to talk about failure too.
Of course.
So, I'm curious to know what your most recent failure was and what you learned from it.
There's a lot. A good friend of mine, Lafresky, said, with every success comes a story of failure. And with every story of failure, there comes success. And for me, it's kind of hard to say. There's a lot of different failures. I'll say one. I had an opportunity to audition for a band, and it was an all-female band. And I thought I did everything I needed to do. I thought I submitted the audition tape. I thought I looked cute for the gig and everything, blah, 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 blah. I knew everybody in the band, and I didn't get the gig. And for like a good 2-3 months, I was like in a lull, a depressed lull. Like, what happened?
Right.
What did I do? What did I not do? I didn't get it. I don't understand. I was supposed to get it because everybody said, yo, you're shooing.
Yeah.
And I didn't get it. And I had to learn that, well, one, I didn't get it. Okay, the reason was I didn't get it because of, at the time, this person was looking to have certain musicians reflect a certain look.
Okay.
And for me, I took it kind of personally at first because I was like, well, dang, what? I'm too short. I'm too dark. I'm too big.
Right.
Not too tall. What is it?
Yeah.
I could play this stuff. This is easy R&B. And I had to sit down and really, tell myself, like, look, just because a person doesn't want you doesn't mean that everything else that you're doing up until this point doesn't matter. You have to really understand and find out what's the true reason why you're doing this. Because at the end of the day, despite whether a person wants you or not, you have to have your own reason for keeping going. And you can't let what others say or don't say or want or don't want about you affect your progress. Because you might be a great fit, you might not.
Right.
But you have to always make sure that for yourself that you are going in a direction that you need to go. Because you can take that gig and you could be the perfect fit, but it's not perfect for you.
Right, exactly.
And that year I learned so much just from that little lesson, because looking back now, I'm like, dang, I'm very thankful to God that I didn't take that gig.
Yeah.
Because I was able to do so much for myself that I know if I took that gig,
I wouldn't have been able to do it at all. Wow. What advice can you give a person coming up? They want to be you. They're in the trenches of life. You know what I mean? Like, life is happening. What can they do to achieve the same success or greater that you have so far?
Well, first thing, have mentors. And even if you don't have mentors, find people that you admire and that you really look up to, or if they have some type of quality in them that you really, really like, study them. I was talking with some friends a few weeks ago, and we were like, man, some of the greatest performers in the world were great at doing everything, like Prince, Michael.
Right.
And even you could look at the greats, Sarah. I just saw a documentary on Ethel Waters. How she was like a triple threat, a dancer, a singer, and one of the first Black actresses. And it's people like that you have to look for and seek, because if you look at their work, the work is a reflection of everything that they've done, whether it was studying music, how to play an instrument, how to sing, how to phrase, how to tell a story, how to act while you're performing, whatever the case is. I think Michael used to check out Charlie Chaplin, right. Which I was like, what? Right. Check out Charlie Chaplin. But because for him, there was a theatrical part that he felt like he could use and help make whatever he wanted to do better. And I would suggest with people, young students, do your research. Because if there's something that you want to do, 9 times out of 10, there's somebody else before you that already did it.
Right.
And they are successful because they figured out what works for them. And in order to know what works for you, you got to find out and see what's out there. That's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is really devote your time to perfecting your craft and your skill, because there's something called life. Or as my friend JS would say, let me tell you about life. Right. There's something called life. And when life kicks in, you have responsibilities. Yeah. And part of having responsibilities and knowing and understanding how to take care of your own stuff while life is moving and happening, because it doesn't stop. So practice as much as you can. Study as much as you can. If you have the opportunity to see the great musicians that are still around or out there that recorded with the people that you love or recorded the music that you love, go find them, talk to them, go see their shows. You shouldn't be doing anything else but having your butt up in that space, watching what they do, and then go talk to them afterwards.
Right.
Learn how to develop not being shy. Have some courage to talk to them and say, hey, hi, my name is so-and-so. And they might not even say anything to you. And maybe they might forget your name 2, 3, 4 times. But understand and learn the power of persistence, being able to say, no, this is what I want to understand, and this is what I love about you, so I want to have a relationship with you so I could be able to share and understand. Understand what it means to give back, because even though there's great mentors and musicians or artists or whatever it is that you're into, they're human too.
Right.
They have a life, and, sometimes they need that love and encouragement, knowing that somebody gives a crap about them, right, and not just what they do. Exactly. Because sometimes you get tired. Sometimes you feel tapped out and you feel drained, or you feel like people don't care. And it's inspiring when a younger person coming up is trying to figure it out and checks on a person that's the older cat and says, hey, you cool? Hey, let's go get some lunch.
Right.
Hey, I really love that record that you played on. So I said, what kind of brushes were you using? What kind of horn were you using? Man, I went out and I got this mouthpiece because I saw that on the photo. You had that mouthpiece, right, and I want to have that mouthpiece too. Yeah. You never know what that could do for them. I'm probably dumping a lot of information.
No, listen, this is all good.
Study the records. Transcribe as much as possible. I'm very, very fortunate and very, very, very blessed to not just play but sing. And singing was very, very helpful to me coming up, because if I could hear it, I could try to sing it. And if I could sing it, I would try to play it. You don't have to have the best voice in the world, or you can have the best voice in the world. You can have the biggest range, the smallest range. It don't matter. Study and use your ears. Understand how to get in touch with your instrument, because playing is a spiritual thing, whether you like to agree with that or not. If you can hear it and you can feel it and you could be able to put that into your instrument and speak it, that's it. You're like in the right direction. And if you're able to understand and hear the information and study it and be able to develop and add on to it, then you're making progress. You're really, making some progress. So those are a few things I would just say.
Man, wow, so much information. So, like, what kind of challenges have you faced so far, and that you've had to overcome to get where you are?
Being a woman. Sometimes when you're working with people, and sometimes when you're traveling and working with other cultures, you have to understand and be sensitive to how things are done, or how things are spoken, and learn how to be a little open and transparent and trying to understand people, because in certain parts of the world, they might not deal with you on the same level because you're not a man. Okay. And sometimes when it comes to business, that part, it can get kind of interesting.
So what do you do in those situations?
Well, first off, you have to know exactly what you want. And you have to do your research and know what it's supposed to be, what your standards should be. Talk and reach out to mentors, people who've done this before. Have an open relationship so that you're able to understand and figure out for yourself what works for you, so that when the time comes and you're being presented something, you're able to politely, but at the same time firmly, and say, hey, this is, I would love to work with you. How can we work together? This is where, I stand, and where do you stand? Okay, well, how can we come to an agreement and make this work? Sometimes it gets a little challenging because you have to understand and not take it personally. You have to understand this business is a beautiful business because you get to share and play, but also at the same time, there's a part of it that's nothing to do with playing, that has to do with you as a person, your integrity, what you stand for, what you will not stand for, and being able to understand how to communicate with people. Communication is so important. The older I get, the more I realize it is so true. That's the one thing that will never change. And being able to have relationships with people and being able to effectively communicate what it is that you want, what it is that you stand for, and come to agreement. And then sometimes you might not come to an agreement. Right. You have to be cool with being able to say, hey, you know what? I disagree with you, but it's cool. I still love you. I still work with you. And knowing how to maneuver those dynamics. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times, sometimes we can spend so much time just being on the bandstand that we don't know how to deal with people. And when it comes to working out business, you have to understand people. You can't come into a situation where you got to understand me. No, well, that's nice too. But you have to get to that point, you have to understand the other side too, and be able to work consciously, keeping that in mind, but also at the same time respecting them, but having them also understand and respect you.
Right. I want to switch gears.
Sure.
I want to talk about young Camille coming up. What was that like? Like, what were your influences, and singing? And you said before you sang in church, and and like, was your mother sing? Like, tell me about everybody. I want to know your whole life.
Well, I grew up in a place called St. Albans, Queens, which actually happens to be a historic place where a lot of jazz musicians and African American entertainers live. James Brown, Illinois Jacquette, Ella Fitzgerald, Count Basie, Milt Hinton, Frank West, you name it. I think even by the Van Wyck, there's some signs now where you can see where the musicians live, like Charles Mingus and Lester Young. There's a lot of history there.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I grew up there. And my mother, she, at the time when I was 4, was studying to complete her master's. And she was doing something on storytelling because she was studying bear rabbit stories and whatnot. And also looking at hip hop and, you know, how they use improvisation with words without instruments, but using the rhythms of, you know, the beat and the rhythm that they would come up with themselves, and also using storytelling with the words and rhythm. And she was finding that, you know, there's a parallel to improvisation and scatting and jazz, and it all comes from there. And she was doing this big old project, and while she was doing it, she was playing a lot of music at the house. Okay. She was playing a lot of Duke. Okay. She was playing a lot of Louis Armstrong. She was also introducing me to the International Sweethearts of Rhythm, which was one of the early all-female international bands. And as I was kind of playing with my toys or whatever, I guess I was absorbing all of this. And I was still singing as a kid, but I didn't pick up the instrument until I was 12. I played the flute. That was a funny story, too. I wanted to play trumpet, but he had already too many trumpets in the band. So Mr. Archer was like, well, here's a trombone. And that didn't work out after the first
Thank God.
day.
I'm just joking.
I wasn't too cool with the spitball that came out from it. And I gave it back to him, and he reluctantly gave me a flute. And then once he told me the same fingerings for flute can, you know, work out for the sax and clarinet, I was on it. And Mr. Archer was very supportive because he gave me an opportunity to audition for a summer camp in Queens at Queens College. And that was when I first got introduced really to jazz and playing an instrument. I heard it, but I didn't, you know, put two and two together. And that's the first time I ever heard Dexter Gordon, Second Balcony Jump and Go, and I fell in love with the tenor.
Wow.
Because before that was a fight, too. I didn't want to play tenor. Because I thought it was a stinky instrument.
Really?
Yeah. Well, the story was I played alto, and the only reason why I was going to get into the camp was if I played tenor, because they had 50 billion alto players. Okay. And I came home. I was really sad because I was like, I want to play alto. I don't want to play tenor. I don't know where I'm going to get tenor from. And my aunt was like, I got one upstairs in my closet. And I'm like, what you talking about?
The universe conspired.
Yeah. And my aunt's like, you better go check out that horn. We have a horn up in the closet. And it was like one of those fairy tale stories of the Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, but for jazz musicians. Right. And climbing up the stairs, rickety, it's all dark. The sunlight's coming out of that one room. Right. Crack open the door, go into the closet, and bam, you see a 1967 Selmer Mark VI tenor in there.
You still have it?
I still have that horn till this day.
Wow.
I even had the receipt in that case too. Wow. The case was intact. There were 2 link mouthpieces. Lord knows where they are by now. Okay. I wish I knew when I was 12 what they were. But yeah, I got the instrument there, and I went to camp and got exposed to Sonny Rollins and Dexter Gordon, Charles Mingus, and I was able to get the support and push to continue and go into high school. And that's when I started doubling. I wasn't singing because I was dealing with my own inner conflict of understanding, I guess, who I was and what I'm trying to do, because I'm a girl. Okay. But I'm an African-American girl playing an instrument that is not a girl's instrument. And then also dealing with, you know, some sexism from the young guys.
Right, of course.
Because they're like, you suck, sit down, you're not going to take that solo. And you're like, oh, what am I going to do? How am I going to do? Right. And you're scared and whatnot. But I continued, and I was very grateful to have Bob Stewart as my high school teacher during that time. And he made a way for me to play. Mm-hmm. You know, he was like, no, you're going to play. And he treated everybody with the same respect. It wasn't like, well, I'm going to treat you great because you can play, and I'm going to treat you like crap and act like you don't exist because you don't play. Right. Because there was some of that going on, too. Okay. And he even found a way for us to get lessons of students that didn't have money. Wow. Where our parents weren't sending us to preparatory school on the weekends or whatever, of course, for music. He found a way in the school budget to put that money aside and bring in real musicians from New York City to show us, this is how you play. This is how you set up. This is how you take care of your instrument. This is how you articulate. All that basic stuff that I didn't get. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, my mom, she was doing the best that she could as a single mom. And I was fortunate to be able to get that from him. And Once I left, I kind of didn't want to do music because I was a little kind of burned.
Okay.
Being in a performing arts school, because I kind of felt like, well, I suck, but this is what I want to do. But my peers are telling me I suck, but then they're pitting me against the other girl because, well, she's cuter, or she has blonde hair and she's white and I'm not, I'm black and I'm just short and whatever. And during that time, I fell in love with geology, and I got into Binghamton University, and somehow I found my way back into the music program there.
Wow.
And the teacher there at the time, Mike Carbone, he was like, you need to be playing. And I was like, yeah, but I suck. I don't. He's like, says who? And I was like, well, I was kind of bullied and I was always kind of pushed aside. And he was like, look, you just needed a place to work it out. Mm-hmm. That's it. There's nothing wrong with needing to work out your stuff. Everybody has to work out this stuff. Just because somebody works it out faster than you doesn't necessarily mean you don't have the right to work it out.
Exactly.
And, they might feel like they have it worked out, but the reality is that we're all growing. And there's periods of time when people might excel faster, and there might be a period where they might kind of decelerate and hang out for a minute. Right. So he gave me the space to work it out. He brought up so many great, amazing musicians. He brought up Steve Davis, Tia Fuller, Sherry Miracle, Cynthia Scott, and so many. And I had the privilege of meeting them and talking with them. And each one of them, each semester, was like, you need to come to New York and play.
Right.
And I was like, well, I don't know. I mean, at the time, my mom was kind of like, you need to be a school teacher. You need to do what we do.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I didn't have a great experience coming up playing because I was kind of pushed out because I didn't feel like I belonged. And I didn't sing because I didn't want to be known as a singer. I wanted to play, but then at the same time, playing as a girl was kind of awkward. Right. Because you weren't really accepted by the guys. Well, those particular guys.
Exactly.
And once I got out of college, I got in touch with all of those great musicians, and one of them being Tia Fuller. She was like, girl, come on. You can hang out with me. You can, learn, ask questions, whatever you need. And the first year or so, I really hung out with her a lot, and she became like a big sister because I was able to learn about the business. I was able to learn how to put together an album. I was also learning how to compose. Her sister, Shami Royston, was amazing because, she was a great composer, and I was learning from her just from listening to her compositions. And then, following, hanging out with them at the gigs, learning how to talk to people, not to be shy, right. Learning how to sell the record, but also at the same time, create new friends, create a relationship with the people that you're performing with. Mm-hmm. And all of these great things, I was just fortunate to absorb. I ended up working with Charlie Persip. I learned a lot working with him, and I'm very grateful for working with him because he put some fire underneath my behind playing them tempos. And all them tunes and changes. And Valley Ponomarev, too, he gave me the opportunity to, to play, but also to sing and be comfortable with being a singer.
Oh, so that's when later you finally get to the
much later, because I was fighting myself for a long time. I didn't want to just be easily accepted as a vocalist. But then also at the same time, I respected many vocalists. And my thing was, if you're going to do it, you need to do it 100%. Right. Don't tip your toes in there and play around with it. Right. If you're going to sing, sing. If you're going to play, play. And I didn't think I could do both because I just was scared.
But you did it.
I did it. I did it with the encouragement of a lot of great mentors and friends and teachers. And they showed a side of me that I, for so long, was kind of like putting underneath the rug. They taught me to understand it and embrace it and appreciate it.
Now, do we have a cut of you singing?
I do.
Great. This is you on flute?
Yeah.
Y'all know I usually only play 30 seconds, but that was so good. I had to let that one play. Now y'all better go buy this record. Where can they get this record at?
They can get it on iTunes and CD Baby.
iTunes and CD Baby, Camille Thurman. Check it out. Now you have a website?
I do.
What's your web address?
It's www.camillethurmanmusic.com. And you can see where we'll be performing and all the great stuff that we're doing with education and performances and travel and all that.
There it is. I'll put all of that in the link in the description, and y'all can hit that. Click that button, buy the record.
And join the newsletter, too.
Join the newsletter so she can email you every day and say hello.
Maybe not every day, but maybe once a month.
So since we listen to this song, it feels, it's making me feel like I'm back in Brazil or something. You know what I'm saying? So like, what lessons have you learned from traveling around the world?
Well, I gotta say this first. This song I wrote, and I never even went to Brazil at the time. I was in a situation where it was really kind of rough, personally, and I was like, man, how am I gonna like get out of this? And it just came to me to just write. And I love bebop, I love Ella Fitzgerald, I love Dizzy Gillespie, but then I also love Brazilian music, and I love, the richness that, we have in African American music, the soulfulness and the beauty, and I wanted to find a way to fuse those things together. And I sat on the floor just like writing this out in one setting, and something told me, call it in due time, because things happen in due time, and at that situation, it's like, in due time, it's going to get better. Yeah. So that's in due time. Wow. But yeah, I love Hobium. I love Rosa Passos. I love Elisa Regina. Yeah. No, listen, hearing that, we can tell. We can tell for sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. Yo, let's close things. I always ask everybody that comes on the show this one question. Okay.
And I'm so excited to hear your answer to this question. Like, what are you most thankful for and why?
I'm most thankful for the privilege and opportunity of getting to work with so many amazing, awesome musicians, but also meeting amazingly great people. Right now, I'm finishing up an awesome project with this incredible drummer, Daryl Green, and we're collaborating together with his trio, doing a tribute to Horace Silver. Oh, nice. And we're taking a bunch of pieces from the 70s and 80s from the albums that he did on Blue Note, as well as his own label, Silvetto. Yeah, he had his own label in the 70s. And we're paying a tribute to this amazing man and his music, who I feel he needs to give more props. Sure. Yeah. Because he's a legend. I'm thankful for being able to learn from great masters like Antoine Roney, George Coleman, even Dee Dee Bridgewater, having opportunities to work with them, but also at the same time have knowledge shared with me and their experiences and their understandings of what they were able to take out of life and playing, and not just playing, but also personally. Yeah. Because you'll find on this journey, whether you play music or you're a lawyer or whatever, when you're doing what you love, you're finding yourself too. You're not just, playing music all day or just studying to be a lawyer or studying to be a scientist. You as a person are evolving and developing, and talking to somebody who's been there and done that is so important. And I'm thankful to have had the privilege to get that kind of insight, because it helps you not only as a musician, but it helps you as a person.
Man, listen, Camille giving y'all too much today. I'm not even joking. Yo, thank you for coming on the Working Artist Project, and We got to get you back on, one day and see what
I'm
happens.
down, man. I'm definitely down.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see y'all later. Hey, guys. Thanks for tuning in to the Working Artist Project. Before you go, I need you to do a few more things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on iTunes and Facebook. I would love to connect with each and every one of you. It would also be awesome if you guys could check out my Patreon page. The link will be in the description. Each week, I will recognize one of my patrons at the end of this podcast. This week, we have Mr. Ray Douglas. If you want to find out how to get your name called, click the link below. Become a patron. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.